Hello everyone! Welcome back to Elevate in Spirit. This week I started a series talking about prosperity, but specifically, I am addressing the attitude of being a steward over the finances that God gives you. We've learned a lot from the book entitled Financial Stewardship in the past few episodes that deals with this subject of financial prosperity from the standpoint that we are stewards of God's resources, and today marks the 4th episode of our series on this book. So stick around as we continue this enlightening discussion. Before that, we have DVDs, CDs, USBs, and even 2 DVDs containing testimonies of people who have seen prosperity through the scripture and how it's changed their lives. We encourage you to check out those materials. Now, let's dive into it. The last few days I've been sharing from Luke 16, especially a story about a rich man and his dishonest servant. In this story, the steward's dishonest behavior was shown when the manager caught him stealing money. The master found out that the servant had done something wrong, so he told him to organize his financial records. When the server realized he was about to lose his job, he came up with a smart plan to protect his future. In this plan, all the creditors were called together and given discounts on their bills. This created a network of people who could help the person when they lost their job. The steward's actions remind us of the strategic thought that was used when things were bad and people were about to lose their jobs. This story from Luke 16 shows how important it is to be smart and creative when dealing with difficult circumstances. The unfair servant was praised by the master not for stealing, but for understanding how money can change people's minds and, in a way, his future. Many people think it's rude to link money to spiritual things, but Jesus highlights how important money is in shaping our lives. Mammon, the love of money. In Luke 16, verse 9, Jesus said, "Make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness." This phrase encourages believers to take advantage of their material resources to build relationships and influence for a greater purpose. Jesus says that people shouldn't see money as a reward in itself, but as a way to do good things, like making connections that can make people's lives better. The phrase mammon of unrighteousness refers to the temporary nature of wealth and highlights how important it is to use it in a way that is in line with godly ideals and righteousness. In basic terms, Jesus encourages his disciples to use their wealth to establish meaningful connections and improve other people's lives. He highlights the spiritual importance of how they handle their money. Faithfulness in finances. In Luke 16, verse 10, Jesus said, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." This verse starts with a statement, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." In this case, Jesus highlights the importance of being true. If someone is faithful or trustworthy, it doesn't matter how big or small their responsibility is. What matters is their character and how they handle all of their responsibilities, no matter how big or small. If someone is trustworthy when handling small tasks, it's a sign that they will likely be trustworthy when handling bigger tasks as well. On the other hand, the second part of the verse warns, "And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." This shows the difference. If someone is unfaithful or dishonest when they're in charge of smaller tasks, it's a sign that they might do the same thing when they're in charge of bigger tasks. Jesus is talking about how consistent your character is. He's saying that the way we act in small situations shows what's really in our minds and how we would handle bigger tasks. This teaching isn't just about being good with money. It's a principle that can be used in many areas of life, such as relationships, leadership, and spiritual issues. Jesus tells his followers to think of themselves as faithful, honest, and trustworthy in all parts of their lives, no matter how big the responsibility is. Basically, this verse tells us to think about ourselves. It makes people think about how they handle the very little things in their lives, realizing that these choices show what kind of person they are and will eventually affect their ability to handle bigger tasks in a way that follows God's rules. It stresses how important it is to be good managers and recognizes that being honest in small things is a requirement for being given bigger roles in the kingdom of God. True riches. In Luke 16, verse 11, Jesus said, "So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches?" Let's break down the verse to understand its meaning in context. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth. In this verse, Jesus speaks about how people treat their money and things in this world. Being trustworthy in this context relates to how individuals handle and trust their material assets, such as money, possessions, and material wealth. The focus is on using these tools in a responsible and good way. Who will trust you with true riches? Jesus compares worldly wealth with true riches. The phrase true riches refers to spiritual gifts, divine knowledge, and the deeper, more eternal parts of life that aren't things. Jesus is saying that how we treat and control the things we have on earth shows how trustworthy and responsible we are. People are more likely to be given greater spiritual truths and blessings if they show they can be trusted with their material wealth. In simple terms, Jesus is teaching that faithfulness and responsibility for handling worldly resources are reflective of one's character and can be a measure of willingness for receiving deeper spiritual truths. The message encourages followers to be careful stewards of their material assets, recognizing that how they handle material wealth connects with their ability to receive and handle the true riches of spiritual blessings and understandings. Serving God and mammon. In Luke 16, verse 13, Jesus said that, "No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Mammon here isn't just money, it's the spirit that works through it. We must serve God and use money as a tool for His purposes. Jesus points out how important it is for people to choose which loyalty is more important by saying that a servant cannot serve two masters. When someone's attention is split between God and getting things, they have inner problems that cause them to be less loyal, which stops them from growing spiritually. People who believe in the verse are told to make a clear decision to put their relationship with God over their desire of wealth. Basically, this verse underscores how important it is to know and align your priorities. It also emphasizes the spiritual truth that true devotion to God takes a single, pure devotion, free from the competing demands of materialism. As we wrap up today's discussion on financial stewardship, remember that money is a tool, not the focus. Be faithful in helping others, trust God with your finances, and understand that true riches come from serving God. Happy to have you on this episode of Financial Stewardship. If you found this video inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more information like this. See you in the next episodes. God bless you. From 𝗿𝗵𝗋 in Spirit.